more effort you put into it, the more you get out of it. So, like you've got to do the work. No one's going to do it for you. But I just know that if you do it, then you'll be almost kicking yourself as to why you didn't do it earlier.
Chase from Habana, who's very quick. Support though from Mitchell, looking for his first test try in his very first test match.
How good is that for Drew Mitchell?
G'day, I'm Drew Mitchell, former rugby player for the Wallabies, now into real estate for Savills, and also do a podcast with a few of my best mates on the side. Yeah, I mean, I guess, going back probably more than 10 weeks ago, I don't know, I felt like I was sort of just a little bit sort of static. I'd always trained for a particular reason, for a goal, to achieve selection in a team that meant something for me. And it was always one of these things where I kind of felt like my relationship with training was always motivated by an outcome or a particular goal. And I don't know, I just felt like for me to really commit to something again, I had to kind of chase a goal and say the goal publicly and be accountable for it. So I guess it was, we were talking to the guys here at Lockeroom, and I don't know, I guess the opportunity to try and get back into better shape than when I played. I'm hoping to play a game of footy or 2 games in the next month or so for Classic Wallabies, and it just sort of coincided with that. Helps me get in shape, but then at the back end of it, hopefully play some footy with my mates as well. Whilst I've had tremendous support from the locker room guys, I think the difference between what I've been doing now compared to what I was doing in my previous life was that team element. Like I said, I've had great support and great encouragement and motivation and all that sort of stuff from the team here, but they're not with me 24/7 when I'm sitting on the couch and I want a snack, or when I don't get off the couch and go and get the steps in, or like all those little bits that I guess when you're in a team environment, there's 34 other guys in my squad that I can feed off their energy because I'm around them 24/7 on tour. Whereas this one's, it's a little bit more personal because it's really just you that is either going to do the work and get the reward, or not do the work and fail when it comes time to step on the scanner.
Off memory, that's a great result.
17.3, so it's now 16.1. So I lost that since Tuesday, 1.2%.
Well done.
And then went up a kilo in muscle mass since Tuesday.
That's huge.
So I feel like I've locked in now.
Yeah.
So like with my nutrition and all of that and training, and to be honest, it probably just took a little minute to kind of make it routine. Like adapting to sort of the lesser intake in food was, it took a minute. Just like the training, the steps and all that sort of stuff. Like, I don't know, I just felt like kind of turned a corner and like, okay, let's and see the results. So
Controlled and up. Good. Slowly push. Very good. Tom, I hope you for the last. One more. Slowly, pausing and up. Nice. Good push. You got it. That was solid, man. Well done.
I'd say there's definitely more in the way of weighing himself. Even Lockie's mentioned that he's seen him coming in from the office. You can see him weighing himself each time he comes in. The food choices, even though say his calories are lower than what he's been used to, he mentioned the other day he's starting to get a little bit, finding some of the meals a little bit bland, but he's sticking through it, which is very positive. So I think again that resilience to the process. He was just saying to me earlier in the day, he's pushed his steps up a bit higher. So that came off the back of the other day, just talking about a few elements that I look for and I like to track with the data, steps being one of them. He's gone away straight away and he's did like 17,000 and 20,000 steps, he said, over a couple of days. So that's huge. I don't think 5 weeks ago he would have just gone, yep, I'm doing 20,000 steps tomorrow. So you can tell that he's definitely keen and he wants this, and probably trying to help speed up the process a bit more.
Now, honestly, I saw from the outside a professional athlete that retired and was struggling in retirement with his health, but also, even though he was, this professional athlete, basically the best winger in our country for a decade, he still had all the same struggles as everyone else. And I think he was in a unique position at 41 to be able to be vulnerable and say to the average person watching, like, hey, I'm the same as you now. Yeah, maybe I've got a history of like some really, extreme physical accomplishments, but now I'm just like you and I have all the same struggles. I think maybe sometimes people's treatment of him is different because they think, oh, you've been a professional athlete at the highest level, you must know what to do. Maybe they don't give him the same amount of coaching and guidance. They think, oh, well, you know what to do, so like, we'll just let you do it. But after speaking with Drew and having some honest conversations, he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't. He's like, I just showed up every day. They told me exactly what to do. So he has no education around basic health and fitness habits. And so that's probably one thing that was his struggle, was that he was a beginner.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the competitive nature inside me. Look, it probably took me a couple of weeks to really lock in. Like once I sort of started to see some results and I was like, okay, do the work, get the reward. But I kind of had to see it after 2 weeks before I was like, okay, like I can lock in on this now. Because it was also like the first 2 weeks was hard, like, changing, like going from what I was eating to the calorie deficit that I was in, and just the habits, like I don't know, I guess I surprised myself how many times if I was hungry, I'd just get up and, fill the void, right? And it just, that accumulative piece throughout the day, obviously then just blows out your calorie intake. But yeah, I mean, it's that competitive nature to like, just get up. Like if I don't get up immediately and jump in the shower, then I'm laying in bed for an extra hour and a half, like, whereas as soon as I get up, or if I get home and I, like even like the watch is, I don't want it to control me, but it's also a good little indicator to sort of sit there and go, okay, I've only hit X amount of steps, I need to get a bit more, and I'll just get up and before I sit down on the lounge or in bed or whatever, then I'll just make sure I punch out those steps. So yeah, I don't know, I just think there's just little things, you've got to just find things that motivate you. Mine was like, even if it's closing my rings, like I'm like, okay, I haven't done that, get up and go for a walk or whatever. So I think it can probably put it down to that competitive nature inside and just understanding what kind of motivates me. Yeah, I mean, I think the team's been great, and Dom sort of spearheading it, but then also being well supported by a number of different trainers throughout the course of the 10 weeks. And what I like about it, and what I've always liked about it, is it's personalised. We sort of sit there and we talk about different types of muscle groups or things that you want to kind of get out of my training, and the training program sort of formulated around that. But it wasn't just the training, it was the messaging, the constant messaging through the week. It was the encouragement to to get my steps up, or the accountability to every single morning put my weight in, what I ate the day before, how many steps, my hydration, my sleep, all of that sort of stuff. Just kind of keeping me accountable for it. Since I've retired, I've gone into a few public gyms, and I think the biggest difference I've seen from those public gyms to here at Lockeroom is like people who are here to work. Like the people who are here to sweat, they're here to actually make gains in whatever it is that they're doing, whether it's their cardio, their boxing, their weights, whatever it is. People are here to work, and that's also because the program's designed that way. But I don't know, I've been to public gyms and everyone's about this, and like photos and all the rest of it, and it's all sort of for show, a bit of a facade. And whereas everyone here is here for a reason, because they want to better themselves, and then they've got a tremendous support network around them to help them do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that not everyone's had the experience of a transformation before, but if some people have and have done personal training before, they know it's typically like working with one person is how it goes. Whereas I would think of us more as like a team. You're joining a team, you're joining a system. So it doesn't all rely on one person. It's joining a team of experts, kind of like being a professional athlete. You come in, you've got your sports dietitian, you've got your physio, you've got your strength coach, you've got your main coach. That is like what Lockeroom clients experience. And I think the reason it works a lot better is because each specialist can spread the effort and the load of the result with that one client. So rather it feeling like it being all on that one coach, and if that one coach gets busy or gets sick or gets tired or misses things, it's like quite overwhelming for that person. But because we have a system, because we have a team of coaches that work together, we can spread out the accountability, we can spread out the effort, and it allows us to put more people in and get more results from more people over time. So when you come into the system, if it's your first time, I think one thing you'll definitely notice is also there's a real community about it as well. And I think that comes from the fact that we are a team, and that spreads through the membership base. You come in, people are friends, they're high-fiving, they're chatting, they're hanging out afterwards, and so there's a real community feel to the gym when you come in. Everyone was also in the gym, was following the journey as well, and they were backing him and the other coaches were supporting him. So he felt like he had a lot of support, a lot of people helping him through the journey.
You know what, I think the hard days were managing life. In terms of like dark periods, like it was, I mean, certainly there were times where it was hard. But yeah, I mean, I've had some like setbacks, I suppose. In the last couple of weeks of the challenge, I tore both hamstrings. Nothing to do with the challenge, it was just that it made the challenge then more difficult. Like I jumped into some rugby training for the first time in 5 years and hadn't warmed up properly and all the rest of it. So I actually got 2 tears, one in each leg, which kind of just meant the last 2 weeks were pretty tough, trying to get the cardio in and the different exercises and things. Obviously being, I guess, impacted by those injuries, but you know, I mean, it's not something I haven't dealt with before. It's just, you know, you've got to adapt to it and manage around it.
All right, let's go. 6 again. Good. Come a little bit higher towards you. Go more towards your lower chest. There we go.
So yeah, 10 weeks ago I weighed in 95 kilos, and this morning I was 89 kilos flat. So yeah, 6 kilos difference. I think I've put on 4 kilos of muscle mass, and my body fat percentage, I mean, I went from 22 to 12, so I dropped 10% of my body fat percentage. Look, that's, you know, that's important for me, right? I'm early 40s, and it's not even just like what you see, it's like, you know, it's the importance of your health and you know, and being a little bit more conscious of how my health impacts me, but also how it impacts others. Like I've seen it, I've experienced it, and you know, often we probably discount poor health and it's feeling like it only impacts us, but it actually impacts other people around you because you can't do certain things, or you know, you're not there, or there's worry, or there's concern, or there's support, you know, all that sort of stuff. So, I mean, I guess I'm in the period now of my life where I need to sort of really start focusing on health, and you know, to lose 8 kilos of fat is certainly, you know, going in that right direction.
Yeah, look, like it was definitely a journey, the 10 weeks, and there was definitely ebbs and flows through that period. You know, there were weeks that went extremely well, weeks that were a bit slower, didn't go as well. But I think when you boil it down and you look at the start to the end, sometimes then you forget some of those difficulties in between. I think when I look at what he achieved, what he sacrificed, what he changed about his own lifestyle in that time, I think the physical result that he got was pretty incredible. And I think seeing how happy he was to wrap it up and how, I guess, successful it was for him to have achieved that, that was, you know, those are the moments as a PT that kind of make your career in a way, you know, they're highlights. So I think that was definitely a highlight for me to be there, be a part of it, and to see what it meant to him as well.
Look, I haven't really been particularly lean for a very long time. Probably wasn't even really that lean when I played, to be fair. Like there were moments, but I probably always carried a little bit extra. And I think it was just one of those things where I thought living the way that you had to achieve this percentage of body fat was just something I didn't want, wasn't interested in, wasn't for me. You know, I probably naively thought the biggest upside was, you know, what you see as opposed to what you feel. There's going to be, you know, stats around how much muscle I put on, how much fat I've lost, what my weight is, what my body fat percentage is. But what I feel like can't be sort of measured in a figure is like how it's made me feel, how I've been able to be more present with people around me, how I've been more productive at work, how I've been more clear of thought, better rested, all of that sort of stuff. Yeah, I mean, that's just something, I guess, I don't know how to put a number on that, but I certainly feel the difference.
You know, I think that anytime you apply yourself to something difficult, then you get not only a physical result, an external result, you get an internal result. And I think that's really one thing that Drew maybe surprised himself with, was how much his mental health improved and how much his confidence improved. And you know, by most people's standards, not a guy lacking confidence, but everyone can always get better and everyone can always improve. And I think he saw improvements there internally with his self-talk and his mindset that he didn't know that he could do at this point in his life.
I think sometimes people would have assumed that I was able to be fit and as fit as I was because I was in a professional environment with all the support network and all of that. Sure, I was assisted with that previously, but I also then I can do it now. Like, if, you know, like without all of that stuff, without all the assistance from everything you get as a professional athlete, like anyone can still do it. And I think sometimes we kind of just use that as a bit of an excuse. I certainly did. I was like, oh, you know, I don't have this, I don't have that, I don't have it all laid out for me on a platter, but you can still do it. Yeah, I mean, I would just say start. Like, genuinely, you know, if you're healthier, you're happier, you're more productive, then life's just going to be better. It's a pretty simple equation. And the other simple equation is the more effort you put into it, the more you get out of it. So you've got to do the work. No one's going to do it for you. I just know that if you do it, then you'll be almost kicking yourself as to why you didn't do it earlier.